Hi Ryan. First of all, thank you for having us. We are super fans from India, and we have absolutely loved the promo so far. And what stood out to me was the entry of Namor. So I wanted to know, what was your thought process behind the transition of Namor from comic book pages to the big screen?
Yeah, that's a great question. The process of bringing Namor into our film Black Panther: Wakanda Forever was a really fun process, and it was also very tedious. You know, I worked with Kevin Feige, obviously, as you would know, and Nate Moore, who's also an executive at Marvel and a producer on the film, and these guys are filmmakers, but they also grew up reading comics. They study comics, and me and my co-writer Joe Robert Cole, we like to do a lot of research as well and make decisions with intention. And for us, the process of making a sequel to the first film really informed how we would bring Namor in, because we didn't want to shoehorn comic book Namor into our world. We wanted to do everything with the intention of making the best Black Panther movie that we could. You know what I mean? And so we had to find a way to using the same tactics that we used in terms of realizing Wakanda. We had to use those same tactics, cultural respect, attention to detail, heavy research, heavy reliance on cultural consultants in terms of bringing Namor and through him Talokan to life in our film. And this is also, with respect to what James Wan is doing and what other filmmakers have done with in terms of bringing Atlantis to life. You know what I mean? In cartoons and in television and in comic book films. We wanted our film to work in concert with those other things. You know what I mean? We wanted to have a healthy respect for the existence of those things out there and make sure that we were telling our story in a way that stood separate and apart of those things. Just as much as we wanted it to be the best movie that we can be, we also know our place in the landscape. You know what I mean? We want to service the fans and make sure that they're getting a full buffet of different options, if that makes sense. We don't want to give them the same thing twice. So I think with that, and in the spirit of our films and our films conversation with the idea of colonization, we said, hey, maybe this Greco-Roman idea has had enough exposure. This idea of Atlantis being Plato's Atlantis. There are other stories and other cultures about islands that have submerged or continents that are hidden in this idea. It's a human idea that exists in different forms all over the world. And we knew that we wanted to open up the world of Wakanda, bring it to somewhere that's off the continent of Africa, and the quote unquote new world, North America, Mesoamerica, made a lot of sense for us to put in juxtaposition so that we can compare and contrast. And that was what led us to Mexico. That was what led us to the Mayan civilization, the classic period and the post-classic period, and using that as inspiration for this culture. That was where we went, and from there, we started looking for Mexican actors. That was how we found Tenoch Huerta Mejia, and it started to really come together from there.
Also, what really struck us is Ironheart. Is Riri Williams' origin in MCU connected to Tony Stark in some sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't want to put any spoilers out there. I know you all haven't seen the film yet. I know the same for your audience. But yeah, there is a connection there between her and Tony, but it isn't. It's a complicated connection, and Riri's a supporting character in this film, so she's there kind of in concert with a lot of other characters, but she does play a major role, and we will get to know a little bit about how she became who she is when we meet her in this film. And in many ways, I expect audiences to connect with her because she is a bit of an audience surrogate in this film. She's like one of the few main characters in the film who doesn't really have any direct experience with Wakanda or with Talokan, so she's kind of the every person, you know what I mean? She's kind of reacting to things and seeing them for the first time, whereas the other characters are stoked in the cultures of Wakanda or Talokan, if that makes sense.
All right, Ryan. So there are a lot of crazy fan theories popping up here and there about the new Black Panther and about a certain doctor who may or may not have Doom in his name. So, do you have anything to tell us about that?
Oh no, I can't tell you anything about that. I don't want to give you all any spoilers or mislead anybody or lead anybody to anything. I'll just say I'm really excited for y'all to see the film. You know, we worked really hard on it. You know, we made it with a lot of care and passion went into it, and we made it with folks like you all in mind. You know, people who really enjoy these characters, enjoy these types of films. But I'll say I hope y'all get a big bucket of popcorn and soda or whatever y'all eat and drink when y'all in y'all in South Asia. So I imagine y'all got even better food than just popcorn to eat when y'all watching. You know what I mean? But I hope y'all able to enjoy it. Bring your families. You know what I mean? It's a movie made for movie lovers. You know, it's got everything you would want in there. You know, so I'm looking forward to sharing it.
Ryan, what's the one extraordinary thing we can expect from Wakanda Forever?
The one extraordinary thing we can expect for Wakanda Forever, I would say there's many extraordinary things you can expect, but we've done some things in this movie that I don't know that have been done before. To be honest with you, like in terms of, you know, for instance, there's 7 languages spoken in this movie. You know, 7 real languages. You know what I mean? And so it's a movie that's heavily subtitled, you know, which is risky for an action film like this, you know. But in the spirit of just respecting the cultures, you know what I mean? It's something that's taken very seriously. You know, we make films in America where a lot of languages are spoken, you know, but also it's the expectation that everybody's going to come to us, you know what I mean, and speak English, you know. And you know, I'm really excited about this film where we kind of didn't do that, you know, and the other piece I'll say is every single one of our lead actors, you know, from Angela Bassett, who you know, on down to Mybelle Kaidana and Dominique Thorne, who plays Riri Williams, they all did at least a portion of their own stunt water work. You know what I mean? All of them were free diving and getting in that water, and I think that some of the techniques that we use to film and to coordinate for them and free diving instruction and stunt work in the water, I don't know if it's ever been done before with actors like this. You know what I mean? And predominantly actors of color. You know what I mean? These are Black and Mesoamerican actors. You know, getting in that water. You know what I mean? And doing stunts and doing storytelling with a very immersive camera. So I think that part of it, some of the things we did with sets, with constructed sets and water, is really exciting. It's really exciting.
Okay, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Y'all take care. Bye-bye.